I discovered my wife's affair after 4 years of marriage. I left without a fight. Months later, she came looking for me. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but I've been lurking on Reddit long enough to know that sometimes strangers understand you better than people who promise to love you forever. I'm 31 years old, or at least I was 31 when my marriage ended without screaming, without broken plates, without one dramatic scene that would make sense of everything. For years married, 7 years together, no kids, just a dog we adopted from a shelter and promised we'd never fight in front of. From the outside, we were that boring, stable couple people secretly envy. My wife, Emma, was the planner. Calendars, reminders, neatly folded laundry. I was the emotional one. I remembered birthdays, noticed when her voice sounded off, brought her coffee before she asked. We balanced each other, or at least that's what I believed. Looking back now, the affair didn't start with cheating. It started with silence. Emma used to talk a lot about her coworkers, her annoying boss, the woman at Pilates who smelled like coconut oil and superiority. Then, slowly, conversations turned into checklists. How was work? Fine. Did you eat? Yeah. What's wrong? Nothing. I blamed stress. She blamed deadlines. We both blamed adulthood. One Thursday evening, my meeting got canceled. I remember that detail clearly because I was in a genuinely good mood. I stopped by the bakery near our apartment and bought her favorite lemon pastries. I even rehearsed a dumb joke in my head on the way home. The apartment was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet. Emma's laptop was open on the kitchen table. She was in the shower. Steam fogged up the bathroom door. I wasn't snooping. I swear that on everything I still respect. I just want to close the laptop so the dog wouldn't knock it over. And then I saw the message. I miss you already. Last night wasn't enough, red heart. No contact name, just a timestamp from 10 minutes earlier. My brain tried to protect me. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe a joke. Maybe I was misunderstanding something obvious. I stood there frozen long enough for the pastries to slide off the counter and hit the floor. I didn't even notice. I clicked. I know. Everyone says not to. But curiosity is stronger than self-respect in moments like that. For years, that's how far back the messages went. Not every day, but enough to tell a very clear story. Hotels, late-night meetings, jokes that used to be ours, complaints about me, how I was too predictable, how I didn't challenge her, how she felt seen with him. His name was Daniel. Married, 2 kids, worked in marketing. That detail made me laugh out loud. A short, broken sound that scared the dog. Emma came out of the bathroom, towel around her hair, humming. She stopped when she saw me holding the laptop. Tom didn't slow down. It sharpened. Her face didn't collapse. She didn't scream or cry right away. She sighed. I can explain, she said. That sentence is incredible. It explains nothing. How long? I asked. She hesitated. Does it matter? Something inside me shut off. Like a switch. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't ask who he was or why. He pecked to bake. Clothes. Charger. Toothbrush. I left the pastries on the floor. Emma followed me, crying now, grabbing my arm, saying it was a mistake, saying it didn't mean anything, saying we could fix this. For years of marriage, and she thought silence would save us again. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I didn't negotiate. I just left. At the time, I thought that was the end. It wasn't. Because months later, when my life finally felt quiet in a good way, she came looking for me. And when she did, she wasn't alone. I didn't disappear in some dramatic, movie-worthy way. No fake names, no new country, no reinvention montage. I slept on my friend Mark's couch for 3 weeks, wearing the same rotation of hoodies, staring at the ceiling at night, replaying moments from my marriage like security footage. People assume the hardest part is the discovery. It's not. The hardest part is the aftermath. When there's no adrenaline left, when no one is watching, and you're alone with the question, how did I miss this? Emma texted me the first night. Please come back. We need to talk. I didn't reply. The second night. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. The third night. You're throwing away 4 years over nothing. That one almost made me laugh. Almost. I blocked her after that. Not out of anger. Out of self-preservation. Every message felt like someone picking at a wound, curious how deep it still went. Mark didn't ask many questions. He's the kind of guy who believes silence is sometimes the most respectful response. He just slid a beer across the table one night and said, "You can stay as long as you need." I stayed longer than I planned. The divorce process was quiet, uncontested, no fighting over furniture, no courtroom drama. Emma wanted to keep the apartment. I let her. I wanted distance, not revenge. People kept telling me I was being too nice. They didn't understand that I wasn't being nice. I was being done. I moved to a smaller place across town. 1 bedroom. A mattress on the floor for the first month. It felt temporary, like I was camping in my own life. And slowly, something strange happened. I started sleeping again. Not perfectly, not peacefully, but enough to function. I started cooking for myself, going on long walks with the dog. I deleted old photos. I stopped checking Emma's social media after I noticed Daniel's reflection in a restaurant window behind her. Yes, that Daniel. She didn't even bother hiding it. Friends told me about it, cautiously, like they were delivering bad news to a patient. "She's with him now," one of them said. Officially, I nodded. I felt nothing. Or maybe I felt everything at once, and my brain refused to label it. 3 months passed. I met new people. Not romantically, I wasn't ready for that, but socially. Gym acquaintances. A co-worker who invited me to trivia night. I laughed again. Real laughs. The kind that surprise you because you forgot you were capable of them. That's when the knock came. It was a Sunday afternoon. Rainy. Quiet. The kind of day that feels suspended in time. I opened the door, and there she was. Emma looked different. Not in a dramatic way, just thinner, tired. Her confidence, once effortless, now looked rehearsed. "Can we talk?" she asked. Behind her stood a man. Daniel. He was taller than I imagined. Older, too. His wedding ring was gone. His expression was carefully neutral, like he was trying not to look guilty in front of a stranger. "This is probably not a good time," I said. Emma swallowed. "Please, just 5 minutes." Every instinct in my body screamed no. But curiosity, that old enemy, whispered hear her out. I stepped aside. They sat on my couch. My couch. In my new life. The audacity almost impressed me. Emma spoke first. She told me Daniel had left his wife. That things weren't what she expected. That guilt had a way of following you even when you think you've escaped it. Then Daniel spoke. "I wanted to apologize," he said. "Man to man." That phrase. Man to man. I stood up. "Get out," I said. Emma looked shocked. Daniel looked relieved. They left. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. Because 2 weeks later, Emma came back alone. And this time, she wasn't asking to talk. She was asking to come home. When Emma asked if she could come home, the word home hung between us like a bad joke. My apartment wasn't home. It was a checkpoint. A temporary shelter I built from silence, cheap furniture, and the fragile belief that if I kept things simple, nothing could hurt me again. "I just need somewhere to stay," she said, standing in the doorway. "Just for a few days." Her eyes were red. Not crying red, exhausted red. The kind that comes from sleeping next to regret. I should have said no. Instead, I said, "You can sleep on the couch." That decision would cost me more than I expected. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. We spoke like strangers who shared a traumatic event, but not a life. Polite. Distant. Careful not to touch anything sharp. The second night, she cooked dinner. Pasta. The same recipe she used to make when we were broke and happy. Garlic, olive oil, too much salt. Muscle memory is a terrifying thing. "You don't have to do this," I said. "I want to," she replied. That was the problem. Over the next few days, Emma became the version of herself I fell in love with. She laughed at my jokes, asked about my day, remembered small details. She cried at night, quietly, thinking I couldn't hear her. I told myself I was strong, that I was immune. I wasn't. On the 5th night, I asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Why him?" She froze. "It wasn't about him," she said. "It was about how he made me feel." There it was. The sentence that always comes. She told me she felt invisible. That marriage made her feel predictable. That Daniel listened. That he noticed her. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was familiar. "I noticed you," I said quietly. "You just stopped looking at me." She cried then. Really cried. Apologized. Told me she ended it with Daniel when she realized he wasn't leaving his wife fast enough. That detail hit harder than the affair itself. I wasn't the wake-up call. I was the backup plan. The truth came out accidentally. Emma left her phone on the counter while showering. I didn't go looking. I heard it buzz. Over and over. A message preview lit up the screen. I can't believe you're staying with him again. From Daniel. My hand shook as I unlocked the phone. Same password. My birthday. That irony almost broke me. They were still talking, arguing, planning. He was angry she came back to me. She was reassuring him it was temporary. Temporary. I sat on the couch until the shower stopped. When she came out, I handed her the phone. She didn't deny it. I was confused, she said. I needed time. No, Iroplia. You needed options. She begged. Promised therapy. Transparency. A fresh start. I listened calmly. Then I opened the door. Leave. This time she fought. Screamed. Accused me of being cold, unforgiving, cruel. I didn't argue. I closed the door. That night, something inside me finally settled. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Daniel's wife. She had found the messages, and she wanted to talk. Daniel's wife sounded calm, too calm, on the phone. I didn't know whether to hang up or listen. Her voice was measured, professional almost, which made me even more nervous. I know everything, she said. All of it. I've read the messages. I've seen the texts. And I think you deserve to know the truth. I wanted to ask truth about what? But I stayed silent. She continued. Daniel has been lying to everyone. He's been lying to you, to me, to Emma. And he has a habit of finding excuses for himself. I think you need to hear his side. I laughed, a bitter, sharp laugh. Daniel sighed. Like anyone cares about the side of a cheater. She insisted on meeting in a public place, neutral ground, and I agreed. The coffee shop smelled of espresso and wet coats. She was waiting, laptop open, calm as a surgeon. Thank you for coming, she said without looking up. I didn't reply. I just sat down. I studied her carefully. Her calm, collected exterior masked rage. A slow-burning, controlled fury that only people deeply wronged can carry. Linda, Daniel's wife, pulled up a detailed timeline of everything. Messages, dates, locations, hotel bookings. She highlighted passages showing exactly how Daniel manipulated both Emma and me, how he had played his little game for years. You need to know, she said finally, this isn't just about your marriage. It's a pattern. He's done this before, and he'll do it again unless someone stops him. You weren't the first, and you won't be the last unless you close the door. I felt my old fury rising, but it wasn't directed at Emma this time. My anger was precise, cold, and aimed squarely at Daniel. I realized that my sense of injustice wasn't for myself. It was clarity finally hitting me in the face. We spent hours together, mapping every deceit. I learned how far Daniel would go to control his image, how he used us both, how Emma had been treated like a convenient thrill, and I had been collateral. My anger sharpened, but so did my understanding. Leaving the coffee shop, I called Emma. She picked up immediately. I met her, I said. Daniel's wife. She showed me everything. There was silence, then a quiet, fragile voice. What did she say? I took a deep breath. She showed me his pattern, his lies. I'm done with him. Done with all of it. You don't have to explain yourself anymore. Just move on. We're done too. Tears came through the line. Hers. Not mine. Her cries sounded like release after a storm. She begged, pleaded, swore she would change, but I listened politely and hung up. That was the last time I heard from her. Weeks passed. I immersed myself in work, in my dog, in running, in life. The silence was loud but healing. Freedom doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like finally taking a deep breath after being underwater too long. Then, one afternoon, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a single note. Thank you for being the better man. No signature. I assumed Emma, though I'll never know for sure. It didn't matter. The gesture was hers, an acknowledgement that some things could never be fixed, but that honesty and boundaries had prevailed. I laughed genuinely for the first time in months. Not bitter, not sarcastic, just free. For the first time, I understood something vital. Leaving without a fight had been the hardest but best choice I could make. Anger is a fire. You can't heal while it's burning inside you. Sometimes the bravest act is walking away. That night, I sat with my dog, the apartment quiet, rain tapping softly against the window. I felt peace, and I knew, finally, that life would offer new choices, new risks. But this time I would be ready. I had reclaimed myself. Part 5 ***. Months went by after the coffee shop confrontation. Life began to feel like a series of small victories rather than a battlefield. Work was steady, the dog was still clumsy but lovable, and I was learning how to enjoy the quiet again. No messages, no knocks on the door, no reminders of the chaos that once ruled my life. Then, one evening, as I was walking home from the grocery store, I saw her. Emma, alone, standing on the corner, looking like she had aged years in the last few months. Her hair was messy, her eyes tired. She wasn't angry. She wasn't pleading. She just looked human. She called my name. I stopped. The dog tugged at the leash, sensing my hesitation. I didn't approach immediately. "Can we talk?" she asked. Her voice was soft, honest, vulnerable. It was the first time I had heard her sound like someone who had been through the fire and wasn't trying to burn anyone else with her. I nodded, more out of curiosity than forgiveness. We walked to a quiet park nearby. The streets smelled of rain and early winter, the kind of air that makes you feel small but alive. We didn't speak at first, just walked side by side, listening to the sound of leaves crunching underfoot. Finally, she spoke. I wanted to apologize properly. Not just words, not just messages. For everything. The lies, the choices I made, how I hurt you. I listened, watching her hands fidget, noticing the shame etched in every line of her face. "It took me a long time to see things clearly," she continued. "I realized I was running from myself, not from you. I wanted, I don't know, an adventure, something to feel alive. But I hurt the person who mattered most. You." I felt a mix of emotions, anger, pity, nostalgia, and relief all at once. I had learned how to separate the past from the present. I didn't need her to fix anything. I just needed to witness honesty. "I'm sorry, too," I said quietly, "for trusting blindly, for letting it go on as long as it did without confronting the signs, for thinking silence would protect us." She looked up, eyes glistening. "Do you forgive me?" I paused. Forgiveness isn't a magical act. It's a choice, a tool for survival. And I wasn't forgiving for her. I was forgiving for me. "Yes," I said, "I forgive you, but we don't go back. Not because I hate you, but because I've learned something important. I have to move forward without the weight of what happened." A smile touched her lips, genuine and small. She nodded. No more words were necessary. We sat on a nearby bench, watching the world move around us, letting the city's hum fill the spaces that silence had once occupied. For the first time in years, I felt complete. Not whole because someone returned, not healed because a wound was stitched up, but because I had reclaimed myself. My story wasn't over, but I was no longer a character in someone else's script. Emma stood, brushing leaves from her coat. "Take care," she said. "You too," I replied. She walked away, and I watched her disappear into the city's mist. I turned back toward my apartment, the dog pulling eagerly ahead, and felt the future stretch open before me, full of possibilities I could finally choose for myself. And for the first time, I laughed, a true laugh, loud and unrestrained, carrying every ounce of pain, relief, and newfound freedom. I had survived. I had learned, and I was finally free.